Hey everyone, what's up? Posh here, bringing another review. This time with Space Patrol Luluco, which is a short, 5 minute to 7 minute episode length, 12 episode series of Trigger's the next little show they did during spring season. They aired Kids Neighbor at the same time, which was cool seeing Trigger, one of my favorite studios lately, doing two shows back to back, which is cool. Even though Kids Neighbor's obviously the more dense show. Luluco, they had fun with it and they could do whatever the hell they wanted, and they did. Trust me. If you didn't watch it, I recommend watching it. It's short and it doesn't take long to watch, and if you are a fan of Kill la Kill type of shows and Trigger in general, you're gonna like this one. It's pretty up there, I would say. I guess comparing it to maybe like Inferno Cop and Ninja Slayer, which I didn't care for. Ninja Slayer was very missed for me. I didn't really care too much for that one. I mean, they could have cut that one up, but I feel like they did that one as a joke. And Luluco kind of fills that a little bit with that too, but I'll get into that a little bit later. What I thought of the series. Um, so yeah, this is Trigger's short series, and it's basically a story about a young girl, and how her dad's like the space patrol officer, and something happens to him. He takes his pill, and it sort of like kills him, but he gets frozen in a block of ice. And actually knocks him over, and he shatters into little pieces. But she brings her dad into his office, the police station, and she gets recruited as the next police officer to work off his debt to bring her dad back to life, something like that. It's kind of a silly take on, I guess, a way to get a character in a situation. So they made her a cop, a junior cop, whatever. And you go through the series, the first couple episodes of her kind of being solo, and then you have uh, a guy named Nova. He joins the team, which he's this blonde, pretty boy that Luluco kind of develops this crush on slowly. And then you have another girl, I think Midori is her name, I think. She's this green skinned alien, which she's kind of like the bad girl of the school. She's always doing something illegal, and she kind of is doing something with black hole stuff, and it's weird. But yeah, she joins. Becomes a cop. Nova becomes a cop. So you have these three young kids that are kind of these police officers, and they don't really go on these. You don't really see the episodic thing of them arresting people or not. It's just mostly like 2 or 3 times I've seen them do it. And the gimmick of this show is when they find someone bad, they I guess the siren pops up their head, and their spacesuit develops, like pops up on them, and they transform their body into like a weapon. Luluco actually transforms her whole entire body into like this handgun, which is, I guess someone told me, is a shout out to Transformers with, I guess, Megatron. He used to do the same thing. And then you had Midori, or probably whatever her name is. She could turn into like this tank looking thing, which is kind of cool. And then Nova, all his only thing that turns on him is just practical, just his arm turns into a cannon. That's it. And Luluco is kind of like this. She's kind of embarrassed by her transformation because obviously she has to bend certain ways and doesn't like it. And so yeah, that's kind of the gimmick of that. Even their leader, which is Over Justice, which is obviously Inferno Cop, if you know the series, he turns into a gun later, a bit later on, but he's made entirely out of bone, so he's kind of like the shotgun, which is kind of cool. But anyway, the series progresses a little bit after that, and you have, I guess, something happens to this town. Luluco's mom, Lalico, is like a space pirate, and kind of like, I guess that's maybe their Gurren Lagann shout out, because the ship they have is very Gurren Lagann inspired, I would say. Space Pirates, I'm not too sure where that's from, but it's just thrown in there. But anyway, yeah, her mom comes there and kind of takes the city, and she's gonna basically sell it off to like these aliens. So they have to chase her down, and in doing so, they visit these several planets, which I'm not really sure if it's a spoiler, but I guess if you're listening, it is a spoiler. They do visit the planet called KLK, which obviously, Trigger, this is the Kill la Kill planet. It's a planet full of life fibers, and they go through this whole bit of like Kill la Kill, and they have the life fibers and all this, and they're playing the music, they're playing everything, they're doing the same kind of, when the characters react in Kill la Kill, the big red font comes out on the screen. They do that, and I thought it was funny because they used Kill la Kill theme music. They used a couple songs from the anime, and the whole thing was pretty awesome. But I didn't know how far it would go. I figured this would be a gimmick one thing, but they went to another planet the next episode, and it's trying to think what planet. Oh yeah, it was Little Witch Academia. They actually go to the Little Witch planet, which they run into one of the girls there, and she gets like this Luluco gets this pill or this drug taken because one of the girls gives her like this shoves this thing in her gun when she's trying to shoot her, and she's like, "Oh, you only have 10 seconds to live." So they have this whole gag of like them counting down the 8 second, and she's like, "Before I die, I want to kiss Nova." He's like, "Okay." He kisses her, and she falls over, and the girl's like, "Oh wait, that's the wrong drug." So while Luluco didn't, she's freaking out because she just kissed Nova, and Nova's just like wiping his mouth like he didn't care. So she's kind of traumatized a little bit. So they leave, and I guess something happens if they get separated. Well, Morocco, if it's the other planet, which a lot of people don't know, this anime it came out with the Anime Expo animation thing they did, and it's like sex and speed, sex and violence at Mach speed, which is this a weird short they did, and it's like yellow and black. Those are like the primary colors. And then Luluco is kind of the only one that's sitting there in full color, and the fight breaks out. And if you know the short animation thing, you know pretty much what you're getting into with the episode. It's just Luluco trying to talk about love to one of the characters, and the other character just doesn't really understand. But anyway, that's a kind of a funny shout out to them. And then the last planet they visit is sort of like I want to say it's the uh, Inferno Cop world, I guess, because there's like this police thing. And but yeah, anyway, there's more stuff happens, and we reveal that the enemy is actually working with Nova. Nova's actually a traitor, and Lulico feels kind of betrayed by it and is heartbroken, literally heartbroken, because the guy rips like this jewel out of her chest, which is like this the gem, I guess, of her heart or whatever, and he uses that to, I guess, power his body up or something. I don't know, but anyway, she died. It was funny. She died and then came back, and original Inferno Cop helps her somewhat, giving some kind of weird speech. Not really, but yeah, she jumps at, and then her and Nova kind of work together to save the day. But Nova kind of sacrifices himself to help her. So Luluco's very depressed at this point that she's been all this time gonna fight for her boyfriend, and she loses him out. I guess he dies, and but he makes a comment to her that I'll see you in another dimension. And Luluco, he doesn't understand what that means till a bit later on in the end, and we get this whole thing with, I guess I don't know how many months it's been, but Luluco is actually now the dimensional police officer now, so she can travel dimensions, and that's something with what they want to do with this series. Um, you had like, how you have your Marvel Cinematic Universe in the movies and stuff like that. You have DC trying to do their own, or Warner Brothers trying to do one. Even like as dumb as it is, Hasbro, who does Transformers, they're trying to do the GI Joe movies and a bunch of different franchises together in a shared universe. And most people took Luluco as Trigger's way of doing a shared universe, which most people have rolled their eyes again hearing that. That to them probably sounds stupid, but it's maybe Trigger's way of saying, look at all the shows we've done. This is all the silly shows we've done. You know, there's a place for them as well. But so yeah, Luluco is now this space dimensional traveler. She can travel dimensions, and so that tells you maybe why Nova said, "I'll see you in another dimension." Because there's a funny little side thing with Kisnever near the end. If you pause where Chidori and Tinga are together in the mall, it's like this wide shot. You can see of them in like the right hand corner. You see Nova and Luluco kind of standing there. Their backs turned to the camera, obviously. But that tells me maybe we'll be seeing that a lot with Maybe Trigger in the future. Because the funny thing is, Luluco transforms into Miss Trigger at the end of the series, which is the kind of a funny in-house thing for Trigger because that's their mascot for their studio. Even though they haven't outright said, "Oh, this is a mascot," there's artwork of her on their homepage. If you go to the Trigger homepage, so Miss Trigger has been there the entire time. Even her logo is the logo they use for the Trigger other shows. It's a little, obviously a little Trigger. So she became the mascot, and maybe she's like this spokesperson type character that's going to be appearing in a bunch of different Trigger shows from here on out as maybe as a gag, just something they can throw in there. But yeah, I'm not too sure how much stock you can take into that. If it's just them being silly, them just being tongue in cheek with their their brands. But yeah, I think it's cool that they would do something like that. For me, the first 4 or 5 episodes were boring because it wasn't going nowhere. Then they did the space explorations crap, and that's to me that's where the series kind of skyrockets. Because it's Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, all these shows that premiere but Trigger created are in the same universe in their I guess their universe. But yeah, the end was the best part. We had Luluco kind of flying in this wormhole, and then she passes the main girl from Little Witch Academia. They high five, and then in the next screen you see is next project is Little Witch Academia. That's gonna be their next Trigger animation. So maybe Luluco would be the in between point to connect these series together. Even though I don't foresee them doing anything besides that. But I know there is something called Trigger Girls, which is about I think 3 or 4 girls from and you have Miss Trigger is one of them. So I'm wondering if someone from Little Witch Academia becomes one of the other girls and the Trigger Girls, and then the next and so on and so on as they build like this, build up to the other thing they're gonna work on maybe. And it's a far stretch, but I think that'd be kind of hilarious if maybe in 2 years from now or a year from now we see the Trigger Girls anime come to life because it's been on their homepage. They have artwork for it, and it's not official, but that's theirs. Obviously, they want to use later on. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, like I said, Little Witch Academia at the end, one of the girls that we don't know becomes another girl for the new series. It'd be hilarious. Or maybe when Little Witch Academia's running, they have Space Luluco season 2 or season like it was all divided into different seasons. Maybe they have another run of that. But anyway, yeah, Little Witch Academia I'm excited for, but Little Space Patrol Luluca was easily like this hidden gem I think of this season that a lot of people probably passed because it was a short, so a lot of people didn't give it the time of day. And I'm kind of sad that people wrote it off so easily as it just triggers one of their oddball shows that I don't care about. But to me, I think it was very interesting. And the last thing I mentioned is it kind of deals with a lot of like I guess growing up as well. Even though it's kind of far fetched to believe in a short comedy, but that's kind of what they're going for, showing you Luluco becoming somewhat of an adult, getting liking someone, losing that person, and growing up, and maybe just looking for something, you know, follow your dreams. I don't know, something silly like that. But yeah, I had fun with Space Patrol. So yeah, I think I'll probably finish my drawing by now, and you can see I drew Luluco, and yeah, so I'm gonna end it there. Thanks for listening.